So. How do we do things to release the decompression in relation to its own starter? Because the impacting degree of its own value is not a point of arches in relation to professor, because in relation to processor, what kind of things do we know that the digital society of Dimong is working together as a piece of harmony in relation to sentences of Confong, because sentences of Confong is a granton of knowing that the C name of DNS is a different value. I used to play with Windows XP in relation to Internet Protocol because it has like IP version 6 and IP version 4, and the C name is a different. So in relation to the Ethernet, what kind of codecs is a value? Because the computer system generates unalphabetically in relation to DOS, no, generate unalphabetically by Ethernet. So who came up with Ethernet for the computer? We do. So Brian Sebastian in relation to notes of our chord. Does each of those Ethernet compromise their own notes in relation to diplom of human? So which sex is available in relation to those color that we have for the network? But based upon our intestine, what kind of network is breached in relation to our own computer system and compromising our LAN, my sister LAN, local area network? So in this way, the computer system seeks the destroyer in relation to if there's any antivirus visual implant. Because when you connect to each computer, you can access the file, of course. When you do, you share the printer. So all you do is have one printer. That's all. And if you have 10 computers in the office or at home, you press print and it goes to one printer. So isn't that like the library? Don't they have different computers and each printer prints from one computer? Of course it does. That happened in Oakley. Yeah, you can sit on any computer, it prints out using one printer. So the solution in the local area network by dottY is that the CDAT will minimize the impulse of the bill. When it locally reaches the main computer, it will select which file it should be sharing. No, it's just normal in Windows. You can share the network, you can share the file, you can share the drivers, and you can share the CDAT. So in that way, when the main computer accesses the file in relation to other computers, it will symbolize itself into the Wi-Fi. Been there, done that when I was running my business. So in that way, it will separate into the CMAC and desktop. So it won't be compatible with Mac because Mac is just a different computer system. But Mac has Ethernet and stuff as well. Of course they do. It's just a different one. So in that way, the center line of the CDAT is a symbol of knowing that we will Ethernet the mechanism of supra. So in the negativity of the electron, what kind of Wi-Fi will be breached in relation to access controller? Don't know as yet, because in that way, if you have a neighbor that's further away, they can see your own net, but they can't access it because it's secure web password, of course. So in that way, if there is a sentence of bridge card, then you can sell a certain amount of down rate in relation to the faster your internet is. So in that way, if you conflict the next door neighbor to share the internet, then you can charge them for it and give them your password. If you want to. I don't do it. You guys can if you want to. But based upon that, the main central unit is either Telstra or Optus, right? Of course. So in that way, you are predicting the signal of the next platform to roam is owned there. So in that way, the bridge will access the central points in relation to the neighborhood, which means they can access your computer as well. So, for example, home-based business. This is my home-based business. When I do art in relation to working out how to finalize the final copy, if I need help, other neighbors can access my drafts and then they can send it through to either email or subtitle of DOS in relation to Facebook and income in relation to Twiggy. So in that way, we are building the neighborhood. So when we are building the neighborhood, each one of us has a different career, of course. So in that way, your boss, the owner, comes home, eat, raise the family, etc., etc., so forth. So if they have time to access their computer, sitting there, and they go, oh, I wonder what my staff is doing today. Are they doing anything? So they look through a drive and see if there's anything there. If there's nothing, they're not doing anything. And it's all fine. So by the time they all go to work, the final copy of the paper is there. That's all you need. So in that way, when we showcase the producta of scientists and digital of chemistry, we're working together. So in that way, it's more helpful to all of us. So, but later on, if we want to visit the office, um, meet them somewhere to have a meeting or a coffee or whatever, it's good too. That relaxes our concentration on what we're doing for chemist, etc. and electron, of course. So in that time, just kind of like when I first started PHPBB forum, my community, I didn't know I met Andy. Later on, I built it up. Then I met Australian Front and K1000 and News. It was all student, and that's how I started to learn the internet and web design, website design. That's when I started to learn. And later on, I went to RMIT studying graphic arts. Then I met Paul and I met the other guy. We were all student. I didn't last long. I went there for like 2-3 weeks. Sorry. So then I got back to the internet and blah blah and started a lot of things. You know, a lot of things like learning the landline to have internet because I found the Jewish business card number and used it, and then unfortunately the bill was like $1,000 because of the dial-up modem, internet, etc., etc. You know, things like that. So the way we do things, the way we want to learn things and share our things in relation to our neighbors, etc., we're building our, common use of whatever we want to do. So like taking pictures or whatever we want to do, or whatever you want to do, kind of like photography, taking pictures and back it up in one of the drive and give one of your neighbor an access to it, and then they can have a look at the picture, so it saves you time. Yes, so because most likely you go and take pictures, by the time you get home you post it up, and then you have more hours of work. But in real life, when you have more hours of work, it's pretty good to relax the depression of our own society. So based upon the economy, we are sharing our ga, yes, to guide each other as well. Because when we take pictures and the neighbor goes, oh, I don't like it, do you have another one? So we send through emails. But if we have instant message based upon chat, we can talk to each other straight away instead of using mobile device. But when we build our friendship with the gold nugget, we select the ones that we like and we stay together and we build and learn together. So in that way, we have phone numbers. Are you going out tonight? Would you like to go somewhere? Watch a movie, etc., etc.? That's how we build our own common news of society and insight into our own friends because each friends of us are just different personnel. So when we build our different personnel, we get used to each other. Then we realize that our relationship will be higher. So in that way, since I'm not an accountant and not good at maths, other people are helping me to understand tax and maths. So in that way, I used to be on MRIC, and I used to be on ICQ, and I used to be on MSN Live. Stuff like that, you know. So in that time, we need we know that building our own community will help each other to understand our worth, wage, and income per day. So in that way, you know, I say I'm just a chef. I earn $200 a week. How much do you earn? Then here you go. I earn $300. I work at the news agency. I go, oh, okay, that's all. Stuff like that. So in those kind of way, we are helping each other to develop our own production of our wage. So in that, so you know, the off account of off wage is that we're not allowed, of course, because the personal stuff we're not allowed, and the along, we're just helping each other to learn. That's all. So in that time, and within that time, we are seeing each other to know how to distill our community of friends, to develop our own sectors of ship. So in that time, when we know what to do and we know what not to do, we are compromising. It's just a hobby. So in that way, since it's just a hobby, everyone has a different hobby and everyone has a different work path. So in that way, sometimes it will give us a little bit of innovation, yes, to excite us, to share us, to invite us, to motivate us, to spend less time with each other and do so in our network of friends. So, in our society, in our world, the conference of our network is just a hum sum of knowing that I'm not gay, I'm not lesbian, I'm not bisexual, I'm just married and have children. Don't have much time, sorry. So in that way, the seed that will illugon the next Kantham to know that the Shire will build the friendship, to know, to build the learner, to know, to build the hobbyist, and sharing dreams of intervention. So in that way, sharing dreams of intervention, we mimic the innovation of dark code. So dark code means Linado. Each of those codes is just a network of vendors and critical of non-subjects to know that we're building our own friends to press the newspaper and to send more content in our kind of way by owners and staff, and to elect our next hobby to share into our world, and in that time to share into our world, our own producta will touch into our own love, which is locally the understanding of life is that we are guided to the end of our phase, PHASE. Building our own passion of career. Oh. So, since you just left school, what kind of career do you pursue into what you want to be after your mom gave you birth? Then you will decide that it's unachievable because most business owners only have a small amount of what. So in that way, when we capitalize the estate of Santa, we are illuminating into the motivation of Instagram to develop our own bloodstone. So in that way, when we know that we have guarded the friendship to build, then we compress the annual leave. So in that time, we know what human does in relation to our society. So, Giffenton. Government. So in that way, when we build the society of love handle based upon our symptom, how do we confront the next harvestation in relation to achieving our goals? So in that way, our own life, our own cycle, we do not know when our parents die. So we do. Then who is next to achieve the next life before the lab of the quantum develop the amnesia? So scientifically, the knockout of our own human is that we know how to reap the next mechanism of diameter, because in that time our lab phase, PHAS, yes, into the indata of our own demons. Then in so, when we hire the neighborhood to share our internet, we offer a certain amount of product. Being a worker. So, in the retirement village of, it's still not there. Why? Because we have less energy before we pass. Our body figure will give up everything that we have done. And in that way, the whirlpool of liquors. To compute